the trial of James Scott, Duke of Monmouth, was one of the most notable events of the late 17th century in England, emblematic of the volatile interplay between monarchy, succession and rebellion during the Stuart era. Monmouth's trial and subsequent execution in 1685 encapsulated the political and social tensions that defined England during the reign of James II. James Scott, Duke of Monmouth, born in 1649, was the illegitimate son of King Charles II and his mistress, Lucy Walter. Despite his illegitimacy, Monmouth enjoyed significant popularity in England, partly due to his charismatic personality and his Protestant faith in a time of growing distrust of Catholic influence in the monarchy. His Protestantism set him apart from his uncle, James II, a Catholic whose succession to the throne upon Charles II's death in 1685 sparked widespread apprehension among the predominantly Protestant English population. Monmouth's claim to the throne was tenuous yet politically significant. He falsely claimed that Charles II had married his mother, making him a legitimate heir. Though this assertion was widely dismissed by the court and parliament, it gained traction among factions eager to prevent a Catholic monarch from ruling England. These factions rallied around Monmouth as a Protestant alternative to James II, leading to the ill-fated Monmouth Rebellion. Monmouth's rebellion began in June 1685, only months after James II ascended the throne. Landing in Lyme Regis, Dorset, with a small force of around 150 men, Monmouth quickly attracted a following of Protestant dissenters and rural labourers. His supporters were motivated as much by their opposition to Catholic rule as by loyalty to Monmouth himself. Despite initial successes, the rebellion was poorly organised and ill-equipped to challenge the royal army. On July 6, 1685, Monmouth's forces were decisively defeated at the Battle of Sedgemoor. Monmouth fled the battlefield but was captured days later in a ditch near Ringwood. His capture marked the beginning of his trial for treason. Treason was considered the gravest crime in 17th century England, as it threatened the stability of the monarchy and the state. The Treason Act of 1351, which defined treason as acts such as attempting to kill the king or levying war against him, formed the basis of Monmouth's indictment. Monmouth's rebellion, an armed uprising aimed at overthrowing James II, squarely fell within this definition. Trials for treason were highly politicized and often conducted with a foregone conclusion. Given the overt nature of Monmouth's rebellion and his capture while in hiding, the evidence against him was overwhelming. However, the trial also served a symbolic purpose: to demonstrate the consequences of challenging royal authority and to reinforce James II's claim to the throne. Monmouth's trial was swift and formal, as his guilt was beyond question. He was brought before the king and council shortly after his capture. In this context, his trial was less a judicial proceeding and more a ceremonial condemnation of his actions. He was not granted the same legal defences as an ordinary defendant. His rebellion had rendered any extensive legal deliberations unnecessary. Monmouth made a desperate attempt to save his life by pleading for clemency. He wrote a series of letters to James II, renouncing his claim to the throne, disavowing his rebellion, and professing his loyalty to the king. These appeals, however, fell on deaf ears. James II, seeking to solidify his authority, refused to spare his nephew. The formal sentencing of Monmouth took place on July 13, 1685. He was condemned to death by beheading, a fate befitting his noble status. The speed of the proceedings reflected not only the strength of the case against him, but also the king's determination to send a clear message to potential dissenters. Monmouth's execution on July 15, 1685 was both dramatic and gruesome, cementing its place in historical memory. Conducted at Tower Hill in London, the event drew a large crowd. Monmouth reportedly faced his death with courage, though his final moments were marred by the incompetence of the executioner, who required multiple strokes of the axe to sever his head. This grisly spectacle underscored the brutal nature of justice in the 17th century. The public reaction to Monmouth's execution was mixed. While some viewed his death as a necessary punishment for treason, others saw him as a martyr for the Protestant cause. His death highlighted the deep divisions within English society, particularly between those who supported the Catholic monarchy and those who opposed it. The trial and execution of James Scott, Duke of Monmouth, had profound consequences for England. Politically, it strengthened James II's position in the short term by eliminating a prominent rival. However, it also exposed the fragility of James's rule and the deep-seated discontent among Protestants, which would culminate in the Glorious Revolution of 1688. The Monmouth Rebellion and its suppression also had lasting social and legal repercussions. The aftermath of the rebellion saw the infamous Bloody Assizes, a series of trials led by Judge George Jeffreys. Hundreds of Monmouth supporters were executed or transported to the colonies, a harsh demonstration of royal retribution. Monmouth's trial also underscored the evolving relationship between monarchy and the law in England. While the trial itself was more symbolic than judicial, it reflected the centrality of legal procedures in legitimizing royal authority. This reliance on legal formalities would continue to shape English governance in the years to come. The trial of James Scott, Duke of Monmouth, remains a pivotal moment in English history. It epitomized the struggle for power during a period marked by religious and political upheaval. Monmouth's charismatic leadership and tragic end made him a romanticized figure in English folklore, while his rebellion foreshadowed the eventual downfall of James II. From a broader perspective, the trial illustrates the complexities of treason as both a legal and political concept. It highlights the tension between the enforcement of royal authority and the competing claims of legitimacy, a theme that would resonate throughout English history. The trial of James Scott, Duke of Monmouth, for treason was a defining episode in the turbulent history of 17th century England. It reflected the political, religious, and social divisions of the time, as well as the evolving dynamics of monarchy and governance. While Monmouth's rebellion ultimately failed, its legacy endured, influencing the course of English history and the eventual transition to constitutional monarchy. Through his trial and execution, Monmouth became a symbol of resistance and sacrifice, embodying the enduring struggle between authority and dissent.